Hello and welcome to another episode of Defense India podcast, where we discuss matters pertaining to India's internal security. And as always, on the show, joining me is our expert on internal security, Vicky Nanjappa. Vicky, welcome to the show once again.
Thanks, Akash. Thank you. How are you?
So today on the cards is your and mine very favorite topic, the Khalistan and the elements that spread their so-called ideology. And the latest report that has come out that NIA has started a crackdown and has filed a charge sheet on 9 such individuals who are based abroad and are working to fan this radical ideology here in India. So first of all, do you think that this kind of a move is coming a bit too late from the government in terms of cracking down on the Khalistani elements, witnessing what has happened in the very recent past? If we see what has happened in Australia, in Canada, in UK also. So, do you think it is a little bit late, or is it? Do you feel that it is the right time to do what the government is doing right now?
See, Akash, first thing is that, NI has been on this probe since the past 1 year now. That is one. Okay. I would say that, these foreign governments US, Canada, and this one, what is that, Australia, they were a little late in reacting because the problem was more from outside rather than, internally here. Punjab did not face any such problem about the rise of Khalistan movement, although there were many efforts that were made to rekindle these passions among the youth in Punjab and then have some traction for the movement. First, I would say these foreign governments have been very late. I mean, some of them even don't acknowledge the problem even today. That is one. I think, and what NIA has been able to unearth is that as a proper this gangster terror and narco terror nexus which is happening there. So what these elements who are sitting abroad are doing is that they're not able to create the terrorists they want within Punjab. So what they're doing is they are paying off gangsters to carry out attacks. If you see, some of the attacks were clearly carried out by gangsters. And also in another way, the ISI also will look at it in another way, saying that it's the gangsters who are doing it and not their sponsored terrorists. So somehow they want to keep the the pot churning out and they want to keep Punjab on the boil and things like that. But this particular crackdown, what NI has found, some gangsters running, these operations from jail. That is one. Okay, and clearly funded by those most wanted elements who are sitting in Canada and Australia and all those places and things like that. And the likes of Gurpatwant Singh Panun, who runs Six for Justice, that proscribed outfit out there, he too is instrumental in this. So they are trying out a different this one. So I think NI probe has largely scuttled a lot of their plans, which they would have hoped will happen in future. And the only problem that lies now is that the thing is they still continue to operate quite freely in these countries like Canada and all that. While in Canada it must be vote bank politics, countries like UK call it as freedom of expression. I don't know how burning another country's national flag is freedom of expression. So they have been slow. We have not been slow, actually.
Correct. And like you pointed this thing out also in the past that India should be cracking down on these kind of elements even much more harshly. But one thing that always comes up is why these foreign countries like Australia, Canada, UK are so much very much, if I must say, feather feeted when it comes to these elements, because they very well know that what kind of precedent they are following here in India. And even when the Prime Minister goes to these countries, he is very aptly pointing out that you should be cracking hard on elements like Khalistani elements that are in your country. But we just see a little bit of lip service coming up and nothing more than that. We see Prime Minister Albanese, or be it the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, or if we don't want to talk about Justin Trudeau because he has a lot of vested interest, to be very honest, when it comes to Canada. And I think that is why whenever Justin Trudeau comes to India, he gets a very, I think, well-deserved cold shoulder from the Indian administration, because he himself has been fanning this radical movement there in Canada. But why are these countries so, lackluster when it comes to Khalistan? Because we understand that the kind of referendum they keep on holding, the Khalistani movements, Pannu is, doing these things in Canada and in Australia. Though Australia did, ban one of his so-called referendums that were about to take place. But we have seen that after the Khalistani poster boy here in India was captured, there was a huge outcry, not in India, but in Australia, in Canada, and in UK. So why is that? And we haven't seen that the police administration was also not that kind of adequate, to be very precise. So why is that? That why are these Western countries so okay with anti-India rhetoric happening on their soil? But if something like this happens here in India, they might be beating their chest.
Right. See, the thing is, one thing is there, in the countries like US, Canada, and all these places, or for that matter, UK also. Pakistan has managed to set up very strong lobbies, okay, who actually, kind of control a lot of lawmakers. And that is, the pressure that they come under and they keep quiet about it. So that is a typical ISI strategy, this, create lobbies, fund people, and money does all the talking at the end of it, some lawmakers and things like that. So that is why these countries, just give this horrific explanation that it is, freedom of speech and they don't do anything. What they are not realizing, Akash, I mean, it may look like fun for them at the moment, or, it may look, very liberalized for them at this moment. But there have been clashes which have taken place in that country itself. So ultimately, the violence is going to spill out on their streets. Okay. And where India is concerned, where the Khalistan movement is this one, it has really not gained any kind of traction. And that is why there is so much of, chest beating which is happening abroad. That is one. Okay. It's not exactly panned out the way it wanted. See, and about Amritpal Singh, yeah, it turned out to be a big fad at the end of the day. The thing is, he had a lot of followers, supporters, and things like that. But if you notice one thing, after you number one point, it was really, funny that, he kept going into hiding every now and then. And, when he had made that very proud declaration saying, we will never surrender, we'll fight till death and things like that. And he hid for a very long time at the end of it. Okay, he did hide for a very long time. Okay. That itself looked very funny to me. And one more thing, when he was arrested and then, taken away to Assam, did you, do you remember even one small bit of, incident taking place there in Punjab? Nothing happened actually. Nothing. It just, was just another day. Achha, jaan chut gaya isse, that kind of problem which happened. So that itself goes on to show that, it has no traction in India and, it seems to have more traction in the West.
Exactly, and you bring up the Amritpal Singh, and he is one of the most interesting cases if we see in today's age of these cropping up of activists. If we talk about the greatest cropped up activist in the recent history is the so-called climate activist Greta Thunberg. Out of nowhere, she became this kind of the warrior for climate change. And same goes for somebody called Amritpal Singh. He just out of nowhere came and, started talking about this kind of ideology during the farm laws protest. And then after Deep Sindhu, who was spearheading this movement, that he took over it and tried to portray himself as the next Bhindranwala, posing in that manner, dressing himself in that manner. And then we all remember the footages coming on TV shows, news shows. He's running through the fields in Punjab somewhere trying to hide himself and everything. So my question is that how do you view these kind of, cropping up of so-called, poster boys? And Amritpal Singh, I don't feel that it is he is going to be the last such man. Somebody who's driving a cab in Dubai, all of a sudden comes in his nationality or so-called patriotism for the Punjabis, lights up one morning and he takes the next flight and then he's portrayed something like this. Do you feel this is the end of such kind of cropping up? Because Bhindranwale, to be very honest, he was here in India. He worked his way into the psyche of the people, and to till this day, there are so many people. If you go into the heartlands of Punjab, you will see that people still idolize Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale, but not so much for Amritpal Singh, to be very precise, because a lot of people understand that he is just one of those propaganda. But do you think that the so-called vested powers will once again, push somebody from maybe something somewhat like a gorilla leader who will just start posting videos and saying, okay, no, if Amritpal Singh is not here, and then I will be the next face of this Khalistani movement in India?
See, they will keep trying, Akash. That is one thing. That one lesson that, we need to learn from Amritpal Singh is that, just overnight, a cab driver from Dubai just lands in India and then, floats the movement. I think there's been a failure on a lot of fronts on that front. I think, we need to be more watchful. Thankfully, it didn't spiral into a movement that the vested interests would have wanted it to, wanted it to be like. Okay, so that is one thing. They will keep trying. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Okay, that is one thing. Because I think he came and took over this outfit that is Waris Punjab there, which was, founded by Deep Sidhu, actually. So that is one thing. I don't know why our agencies didn't see that coming. I think in the next time, I think there's a lesson learned. Thankfully, it just, fizzled out and things like that. And another thing is there. The thing is, Amritpal Singh's only qualification was that he somehow looked like Bhindranwale. Okay, that is one thing. So, they picked up this guy and then they put it. Now, there is another problem that we need to track. Now, Amritpal Singh, was minding his business there in Dubai, but a lot of the radicalization happened online. That is because of all these, elements from abroad. They keep posting messages on the social media, talking about, the greatness of Bhindranwale and things like that. But one thing is that there is a good generation in Punjab, which has been through those horrible times of the 80s, 90s, and things like that, who would never want to see that coming back to the state again. Terrorism, militancy, they would never want it. Okay, and they've been intelligent enough to tell the next generation also that this is not something that you have this one, and the horrors that they have lived through at that time. Okay, while he must have been idolized in the beginning, who was Bhindranwale, but you saw the chaos that happened in the state. So people have not forgotten that, and successfully they're telling the other generations that this is not something that the state should return to. That is the thing, and hence that movement is not gaining any traction.
Correct. And Vicky, one last thing, that how do you see this movement? Do you feel that it is again going to crop up here in India, or it is done and dusted here? At least the Khalistani movement here in India, and we will only see glimpse or some these kind of outburst of protest in the Western countries only. Because as far as recent history goes, apart from Amritpal Singh, we haven't seen, because Amritpal Singh was to be very honest, he was very precise because like people were saying that he is a Khalistani sympathizer, but he played his card very well till the end. When that protest happened near, I don't remember that place, around that police station, it is then when he openly showed his card, saying that Khalistan is a topic that India should seriously think about. So that is when he actually officially said that he is supporting Khalistan. Till then he had never spoken about Khalistan. So do you feel that this kind of that moment will again will stay away from India and will only be discussed in matters in Canada, Australia, and all those other Western countries, not at least here in India anymore?
No, that discourse will be there. There's no doubt about it, because the thing is, it's not like our security agencies are doing nothing about it. There's a very close watch. Those. Yeah, I mean, that threat will always remain. It just depends on how we deal with it or handle it or something like that. The thing what urgently needs to be worked upon is to start flagging down the content which is being posted from abroad. That is one. It's good enough if one or two people also turn radical or something like that. It can still be very problematic. I don't see that thing gaining any momentum here anymore, because people of the state themselves are fed up of all that violence and things like that. And you need to be much more careful also in future, considering Punjab is a border state. That's one more thing. But I see that this will be floating around in those countries abroad much more, because they are being paid to do it. That is another thing. It's not ideology. They're being paid by ISI to do it. But here in Punjab, I think it's going to be very difficult. There'll be small hits and runs and things like that. But no Amritpal Singh in a long time. Anyway, Amritpal Singh, I mean, he was just one fad for about 5-6 months. That's about it. Yeah.
Right, right. Well, on that note, thank you very much, Vicky, for joining me on the Defense India podcast and sharing your insight about the Khalistani movement and the recent development in that area. And thank you to all our viewers who are watching this. And we love the support and the quick subscriptions that you are giving to our channel. So please keep on pouring all the love that you are showing to us, and we'll keep on churning even more interesting episodes on Defense India podcast and discussing matters of internal security here on this podcast. And on that note, thank you very much, Vicky, for joining me. And to all our viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to Defense India podcast.
Thanks, Akash. Thank you.